So coming in after the 2016 election, I'm sure that that was something you considered before you took the job or something that was on your mind, even peripherally. How did that influence your thinking about your role in the company?
Yeah, it didn't really influence my thinking about getting the job almost at all before I went in. I feel like I've had a bit of a change in the way that I think about the world and politics over the past 2 years, and being at Facebook and in San Francisco and in that world has definitely helped me to kind of come to new conclusions, which I'm thankful for. But that didn't really affect what I thought about it. I got my MBA previously to going to Facebook. So, you get your MBA, you pay a lot of money, go into debt to get that. And
Yeah.
so, usually, the first priority for most people is to get the best job that they can. And Facebook pays well. They have phenomenal benefits, better than probably any company in the world. You get to work with very smart people. You get one of the best names that you could have on your resume. So it's a very desirable company to work for sure. And you get to work on big problems that affect like a lot of people. So that's another drawing factor for people to work there.
Yeah. I mean, having Facebook on your resume is going to get noticed by people, right? Whenever you're moving on. So you say that whenever you went into your job at 2000, during 2018, it wasn't something that was really on your mind. Fast forward to now, clearly, as you mentioned, you've had a little shift in the way that you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
What specifically happened in that 2 year period? Was there a specific event that kind of shook you from your desire to work at Facebook, or was it more of a gradual wearing down?
Yeah, I would say it was a bit of a gradual wearing down. Yeah, it's interesting with these big tech companies. I mean, it was a combination of a lot of different things. Like I think the big arching issue for me was that it is such a big company. 50% of the employees are software engineers, and they're the most important people there. They do the most work. They make the company run like a machine. These are the highest end software engineers in the world. They bring them in from all over the world, and they grind very hard all day long, essentially, coding, building out new growth experiments, building, the product is so big and is used by so many different people on through so many different ways and networks and places in the world that like there needs to be a lot of people that are constantly building the code and fixing things. So it's kind of an impressive machine of how they do that. But I'm not a software engineer. I worked in refining processes and working and essentially telling engineers like what to do. It reached a certain point where, and this is like slight hyperbole, but reached a certain point where, I could go an entire week and not do anything, literally like do next to nothing, and no one would care, no one would notice, and it didn't matter. And so it was like, and then the next week, because the nature of tech is that things can like move so quickly that you could do some new project the next week that takes you like 2 hours and land like the same amount of impact as literally doing nothing the week before.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just kind of like this thing runs like a machine. It's going to keep growing. The stuff that I do is basically kind of taking already formatted processes and tweaking them a little bit and reading the results from them and prioritizing things and coming up with new structures. But at the end of the day, I wanted to build something from the ground up and do something a little bit where I felt like what I was doing had like real meaning and real impact. So that was like the overarching issue. More on like the internal kind of social issues. It is a weird world inside of Facebook. Like I often felt like I was walking amongst a sea of robots,
Mm-hmm.
for lack of a better term. And like all the people that Facebook hires, it's really fascinating. Facebook hires incredibly smart people. Like I sat between two Harvard grads who way smarter than me, daily made me feel like gave me imposter syndrome without them knowing it.
Yeah.
And but everyone that they hire is like very empathetic, is very like I've worked at Amazon as well. Amazon takes all the like the actual sociopaths, but Facebook takes the super empathetic, smart, like problem solvers, and has them working on these problems that are helping the world, quote unquote. So like everyone there is again like very nice, very social, very empathetic, but a lot of it just didn't seem like very real. Um, and everyone is just tied to these metrics that they have to like push forward for their team, and like the metrics individually aren't the thing that is like hurting people necessarily, but a lot of it is like the combination of all these different metrics which help grow the two kind of key areas that Facebook cares about, which is growth and revenue. So
Mm-hmm.
adding new users and basically making getting more ads and making those ads more effective. I can go into that a bit more if you'd like. But at the end of the day, I guess I left because I felt like I was not pushing myself. I was not using my talent to build something and feel like I was having a real impact on it. And then kind of later in my second year, just understanding that this ads business model is incentivizing content to polarize people and turn people against each other,
Mm-hmm.
that type of content is very valuable. You start to realize that like it sounds conspiratorial, but like people are being manipulated, and 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 it's like, what am I doing here? Why do we have all these Ivy League, smart, empathetic, great problem solvers who genuinely do have care about trying to make the world a better place? Why are they all essentially working to make teenage girls more anxious and keep them on their cell phones for longer? And they don't think about it that way. That's not
Mm-hmm.
like what they're thinking about, but that's essentially what's happening. And so my whole thing is like, we need to get people out of this bubble, get them out of San Francisco, and have them working on like things that are actually hurting people if they want to solve society's problems. So I moved back to North Carolina, where I went to grad school, where my family lives. And I'm now working for a small startup company that's working on government transparency. It's called Upstate North Carolina
Nice
State
switch. Nice
Government.
switch.
Yeah. So I could have plugged it at the beginning. That would have been more egregious. But um, but yeah, it's like we need to be taking all these smart people and having them work on things that would help people. And unbeknownst to them, they're working on things that are unfortunately leading to negative societal outcomes.